Good afternoon. I'm also PowerPoint free, so I would like to talk to you about 5 topics. In fact, when I was preparing my material to come down here, I was thinking that what I might do is to take the topic of high impact e-governance and try and align it with cricket somehow. But then, because I'm from Australia and I saw how last week the Aussies did in the Ashes, I decided to forgo that particular analysis and get straight into the topic. So in terms of high impact e-governance and the key 5 factors, these are some of the areas that I want to address. Some very, very insightful remarks from my previous speakers. Can you hear me at the end? Is my voice detected? Are you okay? Yeah.
No.
Is that okay?
No.
Okay. How are we doing? Is that better? No, it's not working. Okay, I'll use it. Yeah? Okay. Matthew, I'll get you to tell me if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So in terms of the 5 factors of e-government, and what are the key elements there are 5 things that I want to talk to you about. And some of them build upon the remarks made previously, but from perhaps a slightly different perspective. First of all, from 2 perspectives, is the enterprise approach. This is the first one. The second, then, is from that enterprise approach, and this drills into some of the comments of the previous speaker, how do you actually measure? How do you measure the value that government projects bring to our communities? Quite often, the challenge is that we measure them in dollars, cents, and efficiencies. But for government, there is a social outcome and a political outcome. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the programs that we're running to help government try to identify how you can articulate some of those things. Then drilling on from that, I'm going to look at how does outcome-based projects impact e-governance. This is a very big movement in other geographies. Projects not being delivered just to deliver a system, but to deliver an outcome. And how do you then measure and attract and manage those outcomes? And finally then, the last topic, which is one that we're seeing appear more and more, is how do you do this in a sustainable manner? Because green issues and environmental issues and sustainability and longevity are all concerns for every one of us. It is our legacy to the next generation. So those are the topics that I'm going to cover in this section. So let's start off at enterprise approach. As I said, there were 2 perspectives here. The first perspective really drills in onto some of the points that were made previously. And this is about business process. Now, when you're looking at the systems or the functions of your department, ministry, or agency, you can divide it into 2. You can divide it into those business processes that deal with the core mission of your agency, and you can divide it into those business processes that are the administrative functions of your agency, keep your agency running. Both of them have value, but the value is different. When we're looking at the administrative processes in your agency, please let me implore you not to reinvent the wheel. My job takes me right across the Asia-Pacific region. I've been to 18 states in India. I've worked across all of the countries of this geography. And if I had $1 for every time I have been told, you know what, Adair, you really don't understand procurement in Taiwan, Thailand, Indonesia, China, I would be a very wealthy woman. But you know, in the business of government, there are many things that we do that are the same. In the business of government, we procure goods and services. We pay employees. We pay suppliers. We manage contracts. Many things are the same. And in the enterprise approach, what I'm looking at is for you to consider how you leverage that sameness. Not copy, but take best practices and apply them to the India context. Leverage the sameness. The second element of the enterprise approach, then, is the opportunity to scale. Now, geographies like India and China are going to take that to a level that has been unprecedented. Not just from the perspective of scaling to more users and more citizens out there, but scaling so that we introduce additional functionality into platforms' approach to these projects. So the second element of the enterprise approach is to consider the platform. Consider the foundation of the house before you begin to decorate the rooms. Because when you have the foundation right, then you can support scaling, not just to additional users, but to other functional areas. And all good enterprise vendors will have dedicated public sector teams who are actually working to understand the nuances of public sector functionalities, and who have not just considered how you do back office processes, but how you do front office also. Solutions for case management, constituent service, tax and revenue collection, electronic toll collection, integrated emergency management, crime management, all of these systems available on that platform. And when you can integrate the business of government, the data of government, across front and back office processes, then you can unlock the value. And talking about that word value, how do we define if we have a high impact e-governance project? How in public sector do we measure the value? Value is incredibly subjective. It's like that saying, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. I would argue that value is the same. What is valuable to you may not be valuable to me. What a citizen in a Panchat sees as valuable may be entirely different to the view of an urban dweller. And that is the challenge for government. Do we have the taxonomy? Do we even have the vocabulary to describe and articulate how our project has impacted the community? Now, SAP has seen that as a challenge for public sector projects. How we articulate not just the dollars and cents, but the social outcome, the good that we've done, and the political return, which is a key factor in government projects. And as a result of that, we've developed a methodology which we call public return on investment. We partnered with prestigious schools like the Kennedy School of Government and the Center for Technology and Government in the US to develop a methodology and a measurement framework and a series of terminology that is product agnostic. So it's not relevant to product. But it does give you a framework for measuring the value. Measuring it, capturing it, refining it, reporting on it. And being able to report on it in terms of operational efficiency, financial efficiency, the social outcome, and also the political outcome of that. Because part of what we do is enabling people to understand what we've done for them. And having the framework to articulate that, I think, is key. Now, when we're implementing our projects, we are implementing generally processes that capture data and that change a business process, as described by the previous speaker. What we need to consider also is how does reporting on those things actually fit into the mixture? Sometimes when we're head down in an implementation, we're concentrating on all the tasks at hand and forgetting that the reason why we had this project in the first place was because we had an outcome that we wanted to deliver. So that's where I would ask you to consider the role of business intelligence as a key component in unlocking the value of these projects. Unlocking the value from the point of view of the data that you've been collecting. How can you turn that data into information for informed decisions? And on the back of an enterprise platform approach, how do you use the data that you unlock to define the next step and the next step and the next step in your journey of e-governance? And then the last point I've mentioned already is how do we do all this in a sustainable way? How do we introduce longevity into our projects? How do we leave a good gift for the next generation? It's interesting to have to think about that from an IT project perspective. I've just come back from a project review where one of the key challenges in this particular project was the process changed so much that they have killed half the forest in terms of the printing that they now need to do. A change in process has a positive impact on the environment. Broader than that, how do the projects that we create impact not just creating safer and sustainable cities for our citizens, but for the rural environments, for our farmers, legacies for our children? We're definitely seeing the whole sustainable thing become a part of most government projects now in a way that was not visible 5 to 7 years ago anywhere in this region. So let me just come back again to the 5 items. Value. I'm going to centre it around value. In SAP, we really believe that part of our role, whether it's our product or not, as I've mentioned, it's product agnostic, is to help governments articulate the value of what they have to do. From both an operational, a financial, a social, and a political perspective as well. Business intelligence is part of finding that value. Base your strategy on an enterprise platform. As you unlock other areas of value, you continue to grow to numbers of users and also to other functional areas. That is a huge opportunity for India. I've been coming here for 10 years and like the previous speaker, have been deeply humbled by the changes that I've seen in India in that period of time. And many of it is in the hands of the people in this room. And you are to be congratulated on that progress. But there is much more potential to continue unlocking the value in India's e-governance strategies. Thank you for your time today.